sir. That's just Kitty Candy in the corner. 39 went on here. You'll let Mr. Washington. 337-820-584. See what the problem is.
Welcome to Ask the Edmonds Cop. I'm Teresa Whipple, and I'm here with Jill Schick, who is the Edmonds Police Department Domestic Violence Coordinator. Welcome.
Thank you.
We are doing this differently, as I mentioned when we also talked with Sergeant Smith about doing Zoom, and you're no exception, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk about this topic, which is important, I think. We were talking earlier about how I've gotten this question from a few folks. They're wondering how domestic violence situations and victims are faring in this COVID-19 environment where we are in closer quarters, are not necessarily able to get out as easily of situations. So first, let's talk about what you are seeing since this all unfolded, and generally, what has been the trend for domestic violence in Edmonds.
So I am finding that people who are struggling with domestic violence are feeling everything in an amplified way. So all of the isolation and the fear and the concerns for safety are just amplified. And I think that that's pretty true in general, in the general population across the board. We're all feeling a lot of feelings right now. Everything's pretty heightened for us. So people who are stuck in a volatile situation are feeling scared and anxious and very isolated. We have this rise in unemployment, and we have a rise in substance use, and we have kids trying to learn at home and adults trying to do multiple roles all at once. And there's not that same connection with the outside world. And so we've created this little pressure cooker of, really kind of volatility, and people who are already more susceptible or who have had relationships that include abuse or manipulation are just subject to that much more in this situation where they're not able to de-escalate and get out of the home and even have the distraction of going to a workplace or going to church or going to the gym, meeting with friends. There's not the same way to de-escalate that there generally is without the stay-at-home orders.
Right. And you had used, I think, a really good example of how you were talking with somebody who was planning to go to a grandparent's home to leave a situation, but that didn't happen because of the fact that the person was worried about the vulnerability of the older adult, the grandparents. So I'm sure that also has left people with fewer options, right?
Right. I mean, I think that, any sort of housing alternatives have become more limited, although I do want to say that, the shelters run through domestic violence services and some others in our community are still running. They are still doing intakes. The crisis lines are still operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And our officers are still going to be there and are going to respond to every call. And, people are not alone. There is hope. There are resources. It just is a time of feeling even more isolated and alone than someone might already be. And that concern for other relatives that they might in general reach out to, not wanting to put those loved ones at risk for possible COVID exposure by removing themselves from their own violent situation to go live with these other relatives.
Right. Okay. Well, let's talk about some tips, suggestions you have for folks who might be in a situation that might be more of a pressure cooker than normal, as you said, because of the social distancing and stay-at-home orders. What kinds of things would you suggest people do if they are in that domestic violence situation and are need some help?
The first two things I want to say is that don't hesitate to call 911 if you feel like you are in imminent danger. We are always going to be here to respond to the call if someone needs help. And in addition to that, there are several crisis lines that are available, and there's always someone to talk to. So I would encourage people to ask for help, to reach out for help, to continue to engage with supportive people in their community by text and phone and video chat. Also, protection orders are still available in our county. There's a little bit of a different process for it right now. A lot of it is going to start online and telephonically, but people can still get protection orders right now if they are feeling like they need to seek an order for their own safety. So, as a community, I think we need to be reaching out to each other and reaching out to those that might be isolated or feeling more vulnerable, and making sure that we're checking in with those people and be the eyes and ears and report things. If you feel like you're seeing something or hearing something that is potentially dangerous to someone, let us know. We do have a non-emergency number, and obviously, like I said, 911 is always there.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Those are great suggestions. And we will, as a reminder to folks, include the non-emergency number for people who need that, and also have a link to, we've gotten this in the past from you, and I'll make sure we do that, but a link to the other online resources for people, or phone numbers that people could reach out to if they need to do that related to domestic violence. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Jill, and, stay safe, and we will, I'm sure, be talking again soon. And I appreciate you taking the time to do the great Zoom experiment that we are all immersed in right now. Always an adventure.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. And we will be back soon with another episode of Ask the Edmonds Cop.